You were on the screen there, Stephen. Oh no.
Hello and welcome to another movie review from MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream here on this Friday night, which can mean only one thing: we're doing another movie review and we're doing another Dhanush film. It is called Velaiilla Pattadhari, also known as Unemployed Graduate for us guys here in the West. This is directed by Velaiilla, I hope I've got that one right, and the running time for this is 2 hours and 13 minutes. And I'm going to pass it over now to Jonathan, who's going to take us through this movie review experience.
I'm going to go to this screen because that's where everything is, and I'm going to try and find the appropriate graphic through a ring light that is so big that, quite frankly, I think I'm Neil Armstrong. Is it here? Is it this? Is this it? Nothing's came up. It can't be hit. Great start. I can't see a thing here, guys. So, needless to say, what we're going to do here is we're just going to go through it. What's the fucking graphic? No, that's not it.
No.
Is it this? Hey! Sheer luck! Need to get a smaller ring light. This is how we rate our movies. This is our rating system. It's there in broad, bold writing. F equals a terrible movie. That's terrible. Nothing that we will ever watch will be terrible, because I just don't want to put myself through that kind of movie. D- through plus is average. It's an average movie. It's average. Pretty self-explanatory. C- through plus is good. It's a good movie. A lot of MCU movies are going here. A lot of good movies are going here. It's good. B- through plus is excellent. It is an excellent movie. It's not perfection, but it's pretty fucking good. Let's be honest. And finally, A is perfection. It's reserved for the most perfect creations in the history of Hollywood, in the history of cinema across the world. I say across the world because I've already gave an A to a Korean movie, that is Parasite, and I've gave an A to an Indian movie, South Indian movie to be more precise, that is 96, so it's not just reserved for Hollywood. That's how we rate our movies. Keep that in mind when we get to the end of this review, which I'm sure will be a lot longer than a half an hour, despite me trying my best to keep it at a half an hour, and you will see what we rate this movie. Stephen will condense it all anyway, so those impatient guys can see 15 minutes and they'll get our rating. But look, man, that aside, getting into this, Stephen, Ruth, we are, I want to say, Pattadhari, is that how you call it? Pattadhari, Vedachanai, Ajuran, Jagami Fandaram. We are about 4 or 5 movies deep into Ajuran's career so far. And I did notice at the start that we had a 25 logo. It was his 25th movie. This was about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So he's probably a lot further into his career now. He's maybe in the mid-30s now, I'd imagine. We have watched 5 of this guy's movies. I knew what to expect. Getting in. What are you laughing at, Steve? That concerns me.
That's okay.
Concerns me when Stephen starts laughing. Have I said something different? We're 5 movies deep. I know what to expect from Dhanush at this stage. He's an incredible actor. And he's a jack of all trades. He can dance, he can sing. I don't know if he can sing. He can dance, he can act, he can sing.
He sang a lot of the songs in this movie.
Oh, did he? Did he sing them? There you go.
Because the songs were either sung by Anirudh or it was sung by both him and Anirudh.
Wow.
Well,
so, but they were the only singers for the
annoys me then.
For this movie, if I'm not mistaken.
It annoys me how talented he is then. He can sing, he can dance, he can act. He's got incredible hair. He's got an incredible physique. We think he looks like Bruce Lee. We really do. Stephen sent me a bearded Bruce Lee from, I would say, the early 70s. It looked like Dhanush.
Yeah.
He's got the physique of Dhanush, of Bruce Lee as well. And he fights, and he's an authentic looking fighter.
Yeah, he kicks like Bruce Lee as well.
He does, yeah. He did a sort of thing, didn't he? He stretched his arm out at one point as if he was feeling out, almost Conor McGregor, Bruce Lee-esque. Look, we know what we're getting for this guy, that's what I'm saying. So we're into this movie. I didn't know much about Velaiilla Pattadhari, I just had to say it myself. Probably said it wrong. Velaiilla Pattadhari. I didn't know much about the movie. I'd sense of it by reading the synopsis, but I knew that there'd be one true in this movie, and that would be that Dhanush was incredible. And he was actually sensational. But look, if you get a different experience, Steve, we'll go to Ruth next, because we know she will have a very different experience with this movie and with Dhanush's career. What was your experience getting into this movie before we get into the meat and bones of the actual artistic brilliance?
Absolutely zilch, John. I didn't know anything about this film other than it was on our poll, and that's what the people wanted to watch, or want to watch us review. And what an enjoyable experience watching this film. Probably one of the shortest Indian films we've actually reviewed up to this point. Just over 2 hours long. I think there was another one that was just round about the same time. For me, it was all about Dhanush. It was all about seeing this guy's film. That we've already seen 4 or 5 of his films, and I knew this would be good. Even the one that we watched on Netflix, John, what one was it?
Pattadhari.
Yeah, it wasn't a great film, but he was excellent in it. And that's when you know you're onto a winner. Even the sort of poor films, if you want to call them poor. It's not a poor film. It's just not a great film. James Cosmo was in it. But that was the reason. It was all about Dhanush for me. I wasn't very sure. I know that we talked about Vivek, who sadly passed away this year. I think it was complications with the coronavirus.
If I meant to ask you about that, who he was playing in this before we come on, was he the little sidekick at the construction company? Was he the manager who became the assistant? Who was Vivek in this?
Yes.
He was hilarious.
He was brilliant.
Hilarious. Brilliant. Sad to hear he passed away. I'm sorry.
He's a really very intelligent kind of comic, ever since he started on screen. Yeah, he's one of my favorite comics. As long as he was around, I used to be very fascinated because he also does a lot of improv into the acting as well. Although you didn't see him in full force, like in this one, he was a little bit more subdued. But sometimes he can be really.
He had moments. He had moments. Believe me, when the guy says to him, "I'm not allowed to put my sister's number in your phone." He's like, this guy's saying that my wife's his sister. This guy's saying that this girl's his mother. What's going on here? Yeah. Just hilarious. His back and forth. His expression as well.
Yeah, the other reason was obviously Velraj, who directed Veda Chennai as well. So we knew we were getting a really great director for this film as well. Apart from that, I didn't even know the synopsis or anything, the genre. I didn't care. I was bought on the director and the main star of the film. That was enough for me.
Anirudh Ravichandra's in there.
Yeah.
As Ruth said, sang some of the songs. An incredible composer.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we're well acquainted with Anirudh, obviously with our relationship with Telepathy, watching his movies.
Yeah.
But Ruth, what was your experience going into this movie? When did you first see it? Did you manage to catch us in a theatre setting?
No, this one I can't remember whether I saw it in the theatre. No, I don't think I saw it in the theatre, but I do remember. Yeah, I watched it with my entire family.
Yeah.
We tried to make a theatre experience, and all of us sat down and watched it together. Yeah, I mean, this is for me because it's a bit different from the usual ones, that the latest Dhanush movies that you all have seen. The tone of that is very different from the tone in this movie. This movie for me is a lot like all the Dhanush movies that came up before this, where he infused a lot of comedy into, you see a lot of comic elements in together with the storyline, and this kind of witty repartee that he has with people and all that. And that, I think, is more quintessentially how Dhanush movies are. It has that little bit of witticism, and he's always playing around and that kind of thing. So it's a bit more relaxed, whereas his more latest movies have taken on a very serious tone,
drama, sort of crime,
I guess, which is I guess natural, because you progress as you become, as you do more films and all that, you progress a lot more. But this is very much like the vein of the kind of Dhanush movies we used to see when he was making his mark and making his name. These are the ones that made him as popular as he is.
That sounds interesting, because also we have only really dabbled with the crime stuff that he's done. Played a gangster in Jagami Fandaram, formidable Tamil gangster. Played a gangster sort of rising in Azurin. Played a gangster kind of figure in Veda Chennai. And then also in Puda Patai, he was also a gangster figure. So the movies we have really dabbled with have been sort of dawn, violent, crime drama movies. So this was a nice change of scenery for me, seeing him doing this sort of comedic flourishes, dancing, the more romantic stuff. And listen, I meant to reply to that comment. There was a comment on one of the condensed reviews. It says, "I've noticed John doesn't seem to like the romantic elements of the movies." That is a nonsense, my friend. The only A I've gave to an indie movie so far was 96. That was a romantic movie. So you're mistaken. What I don't like in some of these movies is the sort of I can't even say it, marginalisation. Is that the right word? Marginalisation of romantic subplots.
Yeah.
They put it in as a sort of levity for the story.
Yeah.
You can go away and take a break. There's no real rhyme or reason for it being in there.
Exactly. There's no connectivity within the
If you implement it into the story and it's at the heart of the story, like it is in this, to be fair, his relationship and bouncing off his sort of mother off this girl next door. It's important for the character. It brings him out his shell. When it's done like that, I don't mind it, but when it's marginalised, less so. So yeah, just thought I'd get that off my chest there. But yeah, it's exciting to see he has done more movies like this, because I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued to see more of this guy's career. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and much like you, Stephen, really looking forward to seeing this guy in the upcoming movie with also the Russo brothers and working alongside huge Western talents like Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. Really looking forward to that. But look, that aside, the story, man, thoughts on the writing, character development, the way it flowed, themes explored again for me. Lots of casteism in here. The sort of rich boy property construction guy. He's
white
from an upper class.
Dhanush says that at one point.
White trash, white trash, yeah. Listen, you spoke about that, Ruth, as well, the sort of shade issue over in India. The sort of lighter shade people are deemed to be more, I don't know, you maybe you're better explaining it, because it's a minefield for me.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's weird.
Yeah, there is an obsession with color in the sense that, you know, the assumption is that if you're fairer, you're more better looking, you know, and more successful in some ways, because naturally, when you're fairer, and because they have this mindset that you're better looking, the people who are fairer get the jobs. They get the opportunities, you know, that the others. I mean, we all would like to say that it's talent that gets you in the door. I think it's talent that keeps you in the game. Yeah. But getting in the door is always appearance, unfortunately. You know, the world hasn't really evolved a lot more past that. And so that because of the mindset that you have in India, which I think is changing a lot, as you know, the more modern generation is appreciating and having more self-worth. That's changing. But yeah, for the most part, that's the attitude that everybody has, and it's not just secreted to, I mean, just India alone. It is everywhere else. Indians always have this kind of mindset. You know, it happens even in marriages or in everything. They want to pick, you know, families who like to pick the people that, you know, better looking or whatever. And for whether it's right or wrong, that's the mindset that's set there, you know, that, if you're fairer, you're better looking.
And you see that in this movie. You see the sort of shadeism, you see the casteism. This guy's lighter skinned, and obviously the Dhanush character, Raghuvaran, was it? He brings that, he shines a light on that, if you'd like. He says you're a white trash. And he says, obviously, and a great speech, by the way. I love the speech at the end of the movie. We'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah.
But he addresses the sort of casteism. This guy's had everything handed to him on a plate. He's not really studied hard. He's not made the sacrifices to get where he is. He's living in rich daddy's pockets, if you'd like. So, for me, the underlying themes, it's casteism. It's this sort of struggle. It's just shine a light on the societal issues we've got these days, where you've got lots of really qualified people who can't necessarily get the jobs they deserve. That's something that's widely apparent with the boom and stuff like that, the credit crashes. You've got lots of really talented, qualified people who can't get jobs or working in shite jobs.
It shows the disparity a lot between the two extremes that you have in India. You know, it's the concept that a lot of people have is that, India is always a poor country and all that, but it's not true. No. There's a lot of parts of India that's very affluent, and you know, but it's just that the stark contrast is that you have affluence and poverty side by side.
Yeah, they've got that here as well.
You know, the rich are like super rich, and have a completely different, and right next to them you'll have the extremely poor. You know, and that disparity is what makes it very difficult for people who are of a lower rank. And this is a very clear depiction of what life is there. There are a lot of very educated people, very talented people. You know, they study hard and they can't find a job. Because opportunities don't come their way. You have to bribe your way through the sun. So if you have no money, you know, if you have no backing already, it's very, very hard for people to even recognize your talent. Because there's so many of you out there, you know. So that's what this movie kind of addresses, is that that whole point, that it may not necessarily be the fault of these educated graduates, that they are not getting a job.
Yeah, it's just a society.
Because they get blamed, yeah.
Yeah.
What
he says about India being a lot of sort of poverty and stuff, well, it doesn't surprise me because, off on a tangent briefly, the British Empire did steal $1 trillion worth of pounds worth of wealth out of the country. They did butcher the country's raw assets and stuff like that. That's what the British Empire did, though. An abomination. Nothing to be proud of. But some strange creatures to this day remain strangely proud of the British Empire, and I find it an embarrassment personally. But hey ho, getting sidetracked, Stephen. I find it an embarrassment that a small country like Britain had such an influence on the world. A joke. But Stephen, your thoughts on the story, man, the writing?
Do you know something? I don't think I can cover the story and its sort of themes any better than Ruth just described it. I thought that was perfectly the way I felt about it as well. Talking about the sort of more pacing of the story, do you know when you get a film, particularly an Indian film, where you get an intermission halfway through?
Yeah.
And I always get nervous when the intermission comes up, what's going to come after the intermission, because we've seen it in films such as 24, where it's like two different films.
Really much.
Just, what's going on? What happened there? Yeah. It's like two different films. And this had the intermission, and it just blended in quite well. The way, from the mother's death, spoiler alert, by the way.
What a moment, by the way.
I thought, don't tell me they're going to do a 24 here, please don't, because I've actually liked this film up to this point, but it just naturally flows afterwards, even after that abrupt event. And obviously, the film, it's a big moment in the film, and I thought, I don't know where this film's going to go next, because I thought the first half of this film was very light and airy in a good way. I loved that little piano music. It was almost like Charlie Chaplin, the sort of comedic piano. The fighting scenes outside the house were all comedic. I was laughing my head off.
Stephen, the fucking hose with the knife.
Don't touch my pots.
The hose with the knife, the standoff. He sprays the hose in his face. His quote as well.
Yeah.
What kind of mother are you?
The writing was fantastic in this movie. I thought they got the comedy right. It could have went the other way and just went really silly, but it didn't. They held the comedy back just enough because they knew what was coming in the second half of the movie. It was going to get a little bit more serious, but I felt there was still comedic moments in there. We've seen it at the sort of end scene when the big fight scene at the very end. It was still that comedy, and although it was a great fight scene, I thought the writing in this was fantastic. I thought the way the character was developed as well from start to finish. I'll have to admit though, and I'll probably ask you guys this question, the character Raju, it kind of annoyed me at the start because of the way it's portrayed as a bum, and I thought, you need to get off your ass, man. You need to go off your assy, man. You need to go and do something. I was sounding like his father, that's what I'm saying.
Stephen, that speech his father gave about the ball. You came out that house 10 years ago.
That was great, yeah.
You had a group then, now you're on your own, they're all working.
Yeah. There's so many quotable lines in this film
the dad was brilliant.
And that's all down to good writing from me.
Stephen, the dad was Samuthira Rakani, is that how you say his name? Samuthira Rakani?
He was great, yeah.
He was in Vera Chennai. He was the gangster that assured Dhanush's character aligned with. He obviously stabs the guy under the tent in the prison. That's the guy he's doing it for. There's lots of familiar faces in this. The mother who played Bhavana, Saranya Pon Vanan, I think she was in a previous movie we watched. I don't know which one it was. I recognised her face though. She was definitely in another one.
In 24 she was the mother.
24, there you go. She was the mother that took the little, obviously, Sariya character from the train. So there's lots of familiar faces. Vivek as well, familiar faces in there. Stephen, what he says though about the sort of tone being airy and comedy, a little, if you like, if that's even the correct term, I don't know, lots of comedic moments at the start, and it changing in tone after the intermission once the mother passes away. I think that was just a manifestation of the character, Stephen. He was at home, he hadn't really grown up yet. He was qualified, but he was jobless.
But the tone was handled perfectly, John. I mean, it did change. I'm not saying it didn't change or anything like that, but it wasn't abrupt as some films that we've seen after an intermission just change into a different film.
I think
this was done so naturally.
I think it's because the mother passed and it was like a come to Jesus moment for the character. He had to grow up, and that obviously manifests itself in the tone and the way the movie flows after that. He's a different man. The mother dying really did change this guy. So I think that's intelligent when you see that sort of the vibe, the genre maybe the tone of the movie, the pacing changing once a dramatic event happens, because that's what it'd be like in real life. He wouldn't be the same guy after his mother passed away. And that probably getting into standout moments, so we'll get into that just now. For me, the standout moment is when the mother passes away. She passes away when he's at the beach. He ignores the phone calls. He says, I'll not speak to you for a couple of months. He goes home and his world comes crashing down.
Yeah.
And you see this guy, the colour leaving his face. What a performance from Dhanush.
Yeah.
You actually see the shock taking over. He sits in the room. He's in complete shock. He can't
Yeah.
speak. His brothers try to drag him away. He just can't move.
The father's lashing out.
Out, as you'd expect,
Yep.
because he's blaming him. He asked him to stay at the house with her because
Yep.
she said she was feverish, she wasn't feeling well. What a performance from Dhanush, man. Stunning performance. Just the expressive performance, the actual, just the way, just everything about it. He looked like a guy who'd lost a mother figure. And Stephen, you spoke about your favourite moment within that.
Yeah.
On the terrace upstairs, I think it was.
He's
taken back to his
We've
childhood.
seen this guy, and we talked about it earlier in terms of the genres that he's been doing. The films we've seen, these later films doing gangster and action thrillers. This is the first time I've seen him really do drama in the sense where that moment on the terrace where he's sitting alone against the wall, where his mother once sat months before. Giving him positive vibes. You are a very intelligent person. It will come to you. You just have to wait for the right moment. That kind of thing. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember the line, but it was a great moment. It was so silent, and it was just sitting there. And I loved the sort of shot that from the cinematographer. It was a standalone, very isolated shot. Just him sitting there and just the emotion in his face. I talked about this last week as well. I seem to be an emotional person more than you, John. But I love when actors can do that to you. They affect you. And it definitely Dhanush done this in this film, and certainly in that scene for me, that was a standout moment for me. It was so heartbreaking.
It's an important moment as well, because the guy, realistically, that was the only real family member who genuinely cared for him. The younger brother did as well, but the father resented him. She seemed to really care for him. So when he lost that, he lost a huge, I don't know, ally, if you'd like, in the house, and he almost had to become the mother at one point.
His greatest supporter.
And obviously the dad had a love-hate relationship. I think the dad genuinely did want the best for him. And I think the girl, I've tried to mend her name.
I think all of them loved him very much. The brother, the father, and the mother. It's just that the mother had the license to be really open about it, whereas the father felt, because he's the disciplinarian and stuff, he probably couldn't show anything, because he was maybe worried that if he did show a soft side to himself, then the son would not get off his keister and do anything.
That's not been there.
That holding him, that he would actually help him, like propel him forward, that if I insult you enough, you might do something about it, that kind of thing.
Listen, this story at the start touched my soul, because when I left school, I had a period. I took a break of a year, and it became 2.5, 3 years before I finally get work. So this was almost like me at one point. This character, so I connected with this character. Steve, you'll know what I'm talking about. There was some dark days when I left school, man. I became almost like a Limmy, a comedian from Scotland's character Dee Dee. But I didn't do much. It was a dark place, so I really connected with this character.
World of Warcraft, you did that.
Yeah, World of Warcraft. I lost 6 months of my life to that game because I wasn't working. So I really connected with this Ragu character. I thought it was absolutely class, and it was an authentic telling. As someone who had went through that, I could see all the elements. He'd kind of lost confidence, and even though he was a confident guy, you could tell he was capable. He just wanted a chance to get the job. He'd lost a degree of confidence. He'd lost, a sense of security. He thought, his brother was the chosen child. He's seen him taking the car away. He felt put out. I felt so sorry for the character, incidentally, when he's going to the birthday party. He wants 2,000 rupees. He can only get 200. His brother rocks up with a brand new car, and he's like, oh my god, my life, just kill me. And then he goes to the party, and I loved the fact in that moment, all of these close-knit friends, they were all VIPs, educated guys who couldn't get a decent job. They never pitied him. They never looked down at him. They just says, look, that's fine, you're unemployed, you can pay us back at some point. The fact that he then gets him out of a sticky situation by paying the money to the sort of copper, I love that scene. Then it turns into a dance number. Dhanush is walking away, he just spins about and starts dancing. I'm like, this fucking guy, I love this guy. What a dancer, by the way. Incredible. He's not quite Proud Deva level, but he's pretty good. Certainly much better than the Ginny Camp, that's for sure. Dancing. Unbelievable dance number. Even all the friends could dance. I like the music as well. I've got notes on it. I don't know exactly what it says, but it's a standout for me. that dance number, it was very spontaneous for me. And just the themes it was exploring, he's still a bit childish, he's a bit carefree, he's not really acting his age, he's drunk. And you get that in the song, in the dance. This guy's lifestyle at this moment. Then, of course, he gets home, he's drunk, and he gets hit with the Shalini character. He's been trying to get to see this girl for the 35 minutes of the movie. He gets drunk out his nut, comes home, and finally gets his moment. And just the interactions with those two was brilliant as well. I really enjoyed that element to it. So there you go, bitch, whoever it was. I take it back, I'm not a bitch, but anyone that says I don't like romance. I liked it. The romance between Raghuvaran and Shalini, I thought it was pretty decent. She's trying to build his confidence up, and he's getting drunk and can't remember anything. It's just great interactions. The moment she's trying to tell him what she said to him, would you call this a day out? Take me for lunch and I'll tell you. You call this, take me to the beach and I'll tell you. Take me to a good cinema. He finally loses patience. He's like, come on, just tell me what you said. And that's just before his mother dies. So look, there's elements to this movie I really enjoyed. What you said, Steve, the sort of comedic elements.
John, the scooter had a life. It was like Herbie Goes Bananas.
It did. It was sentient.
Turning round and looking at him. What's going on here?
Yes.
I think dog, Harry Potter, as well. Standout performance.
Oh, the dog. I seen the dog in the first 5 minutes. I'm like this guy already. Looked like my dog. He had a big Labrador, a big golden Harry Labrador. Potter. Beautiful dog, man. And again, Harry Potter. You think of Harry Potter?
Yes.
It's this child that's locked up. It can't get away from this life of misery. He escapes into this magical world, and his life is transformed. That's almost like a microcosmic look at this movie. This guy's stuck in this situation. He can't get out. He finally breaks out, and everything works out for him. So there's little things going on in there. Maybe I'm looking too deep. I don't know. But Steve, have you got any other standout moments? I like the fight sequence you spoke about. Standoff with the hose and the knife. Call yourself a mother. Couldn't you have told me sooner Dad was out? He starts beating the shit out of them. He's deliberately getting beaten up.
John, there's that speech. the speech at
I
near
love
the
the
end.
speech, yeah.
Oh,
you know, when how he worked his way up, you know, with his education when no one else believed him. Listen, I'm not even going to attempt to try and paraphrase that speech. It was just so inspiring, and it really hit home what that guy's been through in the space of probably about a minute. That dialogue lasted for.
Brief.
And that what's the character's
like
name? The son.
Yeah, he didn't take a breath. I was impressed.
What was the
rich boy?
The rich boy
was Amitesh Pradhan. It was Arun Subramaniam.
Took it, and he had to, you know, because it was almost like a verbal sucker punch to this guy, and I thought it was brilliant. It was a really great standout moment.
Speaking of that villain, by the way, that's a criticism I do have of this movie. I'm not going to lie. Wasn't really a movie for a villain in the large part. We see him briefly at the start. I think he's at an auction or something, or a tender. He disappears for long stretches. It's really about Raghuvaran and his journey. But then he comes in the last 40 minutes or so, and he's a little weak for me. He could have been stronger.
Yeah, because he's not supposed to be a strong person in any case. You know, he's supposed to be this spoiled rich kid.
Yeah, he's a young boy in Daddy's Coven.
He's a complete dad. At least with Raghuvaran, he's got talent and he's worked hard, you know. Whereas this guy has just skated by on his father's, coattails kind of thing, you know, in the sense that the father's established because he has the money and, and all that. So this boy has never had to work a day in his life, really. He doesn't have to try. So he cuts all these corners and, you know, he's just supposed to be this, ineffective kind of person.
Yeah.
But like every privileged guy, you know, he looks down on this guy, you know, that line that he says that these kind of guys, because they ask him, oh, do you know him, or do you have an enemy?
He said a great word. I searched the word up. It was sort of showy guy that was cheap underneath. That was the description. I liked the word he used. Although it was obviously derogatory towards the actual Raghuvaran character.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he doesn't like this kind of local, you know, guys that, you know, are like basically all these poor guys that, you know, they just so he's completely, he has this
hated
kind
them
of
from my childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
You little rich bitch. Exactly. Hated them from my childhood. Even in my toddler days, I hated these little poor kids. I just despised them.
He's just
you're right though, Ruth. He wasn't
meant to be an entitled person who, you know, treats people around him like rubbish.
Yeah.
And that's what I think there are a lot. I mean, I do know also a lot of rich people who are very generous and very kind and, you know, very down to earth. But the reality is that a majority of rich people, that's exactly the attitude that they have. They criticize. It's easy to clean up your act when you have the money to do that. Whereas there are a lot of people struggling out there, and it's not for lack of talent, but unfortunately it doesn't get noticed, because you just don't fall into the right category. You don't have the right friends, you don't have the right backing.
He was going to loads of interviews, he was just getting knocked back for whatever reason. And but you're right there about the roof. You're right, Roof, about the villain. About the roof, you're right about the roof. Doesn't make sense. The villain, he isn't meant to be this sort of strong, physical
it's not really
character.
The plot, is it? It's not really the...
Yeah, he's the yin to the yang of Raghuvaran. Raghuvaran's worked hard, he's getting nothing.
He's a representation of another class,
yeah,
isn't
that's
he?
exactly
it. Yes, exactly,
and he's annoying. Yeah,
that's what it is.
And then obviously, the dad figure as well, he's a bit of a shithead, but again, he's just another level of that privilege. Yeah, but I love the fact he abandoned him, incidentally. He's relying on his father. He thinks he's always going to protect him, back him and everything. The one moment his company and his reputation's on the line, if it's between me or you and my company, I pick my company. He's like, what? Bitch. I hated the fact I called him a little weasel. That's what I called him. I called him a rich daddy's boy weasel. He just wouldn't let it go. He was trying to sabotage. Raghuvaran was ahead of him at every step.
Nobody's ever said no to this guy, that's how.
Yeah, but Steve, the fact...
Yeah, exactly, he's never had a situation where, somebody stands up to him.
Yeah.
He
couldn't take it.
It's
the fact he gets slapped about, though.
Donald Trump at the elections.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Try to stage a coup de grace, is that what you call it? A coup de grace.
I like the fact that he opened it. That part showed a lot of wit in the writing. I think when he opened it to the public and to see the enormity of the number of people who had studied engineering and couldn't find a job.
Well, this is the Facebook bit, isn't it?
Yeah. They come on the bus and then they're all coming in bikes and stuff like that. Yeah.
And where Vivek says, this is just one Facebook group.
Yeah.
How many more do you have in the entire country of unemployed, people? And that's the level of talent you have out there, and it's just unfortunate. That's what happens in real life. Because with that you need a certain sense of luck, I think, with everything,
Yeah.
Right place, right time before you can.
Absolutely. You can have all the talent in the world, all of the hard work, but if you I don't know, if the stars don't align for you, you're just not going to. It's not going to happen. And I keep going back to Lemmy. That's a guy I look up to, a comedian over here. He spoke about that. He's a double BAFTA winning comedian, showrunner, writer, sort of musician, and he's said that in the past. If it just went one other way, he could have been in jail. He could have been a different guy. But the stars aligned for him. He had the hard work, he had the intelligence, the skill set, but he get luck as well, and you need that. You need luck in life, and thankfully the Raghuvaran character gets luck in this. It's sort of tinged with tragedy because his mother passes away. He loses this one constant in his life. By the way, I never even spoke about that. I thought that was a very deep scene. It's just sort of the mother dying, what it did for that character. Because I think he just thought this was a permanent situation. He was just going to keep looking for work. His mother's always going to be there. They'll fall out at times. They'll not speak. She'll always be there. Nothing will change. When he loses the mother figure, I think he realises everything's temporary. You need to get your shit in order here. You need to get moving. You really need to step up the game. He gets depressed for a while, but you get that amazing shot at one point of him coming out the house. He looks up at the sky. The sun sort of kisses him. And then you get the wide shot of it looking down at him. There's a great song playing, an inspirational song. And that's the moment where he realises, look, the mother's died. This is actually my inspiration to do something.
True.
Yep.
No, I mean, I like the idea of that whole irony of life, how sometimes we say, we wish certain bad things don't happen in your life, but the bad stuff is there so that you can appreciate the good stuff, or sometimes the bad stuff needs to happen for you to be open, to any good stuff coming in your life. So it's exactly the same way. If it wasn't for his mother's death, he wouldn't have gotten a job, and his career wouldn't have taken off, and it's linked. Her death is what made it possible, as tragic as it seems, exactly. So if it wasn't, he would not have gotten that kind of an opportunity.
That's what life's like.
Even if he had tried, going to that man's company and asking for a job, he probably wouldn't have gotten it as well, but because that man felt indebted to him, he came and wanted to give him a job. So I mean, it shows you in life how there are a lot of bad stuff that happened to you, but it's the path that leads you to something good happening in your life.
It's one door shuts, another opens, in a sense.
Yeah.
And that can happen personal level, sort of professional level. And just that relationship, the fact that he goes away and cries after he says, just don't smoke, because my mother hated smoking. And the dad saying, look, don't cry. I missed loads of phone calls. That doesn't mean I killed those people. I just thought that was a special moment between the father and the son as well. First time they bonded.
Stark contrast to because first he blamed him because he was upset naturally. Why weren't you home? And the son and all that. And then later when he realizes that's how his son is feeling, that he's blaming himself. He says that no, you can't be. That means it isn't my fault. There have been many times he has come back home. What are the chances that the one time he decides, he's upset and he doesn't want to come back home,
she passes
the mother
away.
dies.
I tell you, man, Samafir. How do you say this guy's name? It's Samafir Rakani. Samafir Rakani.
Samundrakani.
Say that again, please, Ruth.
It's Samundrakani.
Samundrakani. That's insane.
Yeah.
Insane pronunciation. Samundrakani. He was sensational. I really enjoyed this character. As you says, he was a disciplinarian. He was a hard guy, but you could see he cared. And the whole, you name my brother Horrific, is it? Is that how you call him? Horrific?
Mm.
He's the sort of hero name. I'm Raghuvaran. I'm the villain name. And she says, look, I actually prefer Raghuvaran. It's a nonsense. I've seen that as well with me. You sort of bicker over siblings, who's the chosen one and stuff like that. That's something that is, again, universal to everybody, every country, every family. I just thought he was brilliant. But look, man, speaking about brilliant, we'll get into performances. Standout performance. Stephen, I'll go to you first, Ruth. What's your standout performance?
Yeah, Dhanush, definitely. Dhanush. Yeah. I mean, what else can you say? Yeah. I mean, I think I liked. I think everybody. It was a well-fitting ensemble cast in the sense that everybody, I think, did their role really well. There wasn't any. There was a bit more of a connectivity. He wasn't like carrying the entire movie on his shoulders, So in that sense, there was a lot of connectivity. Everybody contributed to the storytelling. So I thought in that sense was good. But of course, the stand-up performance is Dhanush because, it was his performance that gave it like complete life. But I did also like Vivek's part and the girl, I mean, I like the fact that as a romantic lead, she was also instrumental in giving him that kind of support and encouragement. It was very quietly given, but it was there.
Yeah.
She was very similar to his mother in that sense because she also gave him. The irony is that all the women in his life, the boss's daughter, the girl he loves, and his mom, they were all like different shades of his mother, the other two. Giving him the encouragement and the love that he needs, which I thought, it was a very nice depiction of how nurturing women can be in the life of people. Yeah. So I really liked Dhanush's performance.
Yeah, I thought Amala Paul as well. I thought, is that her name, Amala Paul? I thought she was decent.
Yeah,
very good.
She's a very good actress, actually. Yeah, she's done a lot more movies where you can see more for acting chops.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, as Stephen says that, it was just, I think you were slightly disappointed. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Stephen, so maybe you're better to explain this, but you had a slight gripe with the sort of, the romantic figures in this.
The female.
Is that right? Am I right in saying that?
No, it was the female, John, because Ruth actually spoke about this last week in terms of strong female leads. I didn't think there was a strong female lead in this film. I felt they were really good, but there was no sort of empowerment in any of these characters at all. They were there for a purpose, the romantic element to it, the sort of the mother, more importantly, but then the girl that obviously life was saved, obviously with the mother's
that was Anita
donations, and I just felt that
Anita,
as good as those characters were, there was no sort of strong, prominent, empowering females in this film at all. But that's not a bad thing. It's when I was watching this, I thought this is more a lads' film. It's the boys, and I that's fine. I get that,
lads,
and I felt talking about performances. It's Dhanush for me. I've never seen this guy act the way he does until I've seen this film in terms of drama and emotion. I've seen the other side to him, and there's other films that we've watched, very similar roles, and he does it so well. But in this one, I felt there was a whole range of acting, and I felt he had the comedic, which I've never really seen to that level, but not borderline silliness. I thought it was handled very well, and Dhanush handled that very well.
I do like the South Indian movies, incidentally.
Yeah.
The comedic elements.
Yeah, they're
very
fantastic.
physical at times. I like that. Telepathy's a master at that.
Yeah, they're so they're organic. You know, I don't think we've seen an out-and-out slapstick comedy yet, John. I know we've reacted to a few.
There are actually some that Dhanush has done that is like all out.
Oh, I need to see that. We do. That's one thing. Look, it says in the genres: action, comedy, drama. So look, that sums it up perfectly. Yeah. It's got action elements. It's comedic. Having said that, I'm going to come in here quickly. I didn't say another criticism that I've got with this movie, very briefly, because we bring up genres, another French word, I think, genre, bitches. Everything has to be so fancy the way they speak, don't it? Récipient, genre, croissant.
The French adore, les Pilots adore.
Adore, yeah. Je m'appelle. Fuck off. I love France. Beautiful country, beautiful people, amazing cuisine. Fashion though leaves a lot to be desired. I take that back immediately. Their t-shirt wearing is second to none. They know how to wear a t-shirt. Enough about France. Enough. I felt the sort of merging of the genres in this movie could have been better. I thought there was a slight disconnect at times. You had the sort of comedic element, you had the romantic element. I mean, the best example would be the romance, and then bang, the mother dies. He's in the depths of despair. I know that's life. That's what happens in life. It can happen.
Untimely death, yeah.
You could be having a blast and then you find out someone's passed away. That's you. I've seen it. Sadly, I've had that in my own life. My passing of my grandmother. Had a great day. My grandmother passed away. But just for me, sorry, the genres, I think, I don't know, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it.
You need to, with Indian movies, you need to watch it a lot like how you would watch a Shakespeare play. In the sense that the comedy usually comes in as a tension breaker, or because you have this very strong dramatic moments always. So you know, like when you do every time you watch a Shakespeare play, usually the comedy is a kind of like standalone, kind of, you know, it's like a certain act, and the comedy comes in to break in the tension, especially if it's a tragedy or something like that, to kind of put in to break the tension and then build up back again. So usually they kind of follow that trend in Indian cinema. It's just that maybe by default or the way they write it, in some it's interwoven into the movie a bit more better. But that only happens if the movie is generally on that comedic vein. Then it's much more well flowed in. But if the moment the movie becomes very action based or very dramatic, then the comedy has just certain moments that you would see it. It's less interwoven into the plot because it's more meant to be like a tension break or a difference in the scene before you build up again, you know, that kind of thing. So I think that's the reason why it takes some getting used to. But like from my perspective, I'm used to it. But I didn't really get the difference until I actually did Shakespeare in school. And then I realized, okay, so that's what it is. That's the format they are following, you know, in a way, because
I think at Gilly, Ruth, the last Telepathy movie we watched, Gilly, and the way they implemented the sort of comedy into the sort of drama, they're getting chased down the street, there'll be a comedy moment, and then there'll be a sort of romantic moment, they'll introduce a song and dance number. I thought it was just, in a movie like that, I see Telepathy, I spoke about him briefly, a master at it, sort of doing these sort of different tones and genres in a movie, just so you can switch like that. I just thought it was implemented better in a movie, John, like that, but I haven't said that.
Saying that, that's what was going through my head watching this film. I thought this is a cookie cutting sort of template for a telepathy VJ movie. This is the kind of film
he could play that character,
embraces the different tones, the different genres, and the sudden change in tone, you know, from scene to scene.
Could you imagine Telepathy and Samantha in those roles, incidentally?
Yeah, I could,
You could imagine it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I could imagine Samantha playing Shalini, is it? Shalini. And I could imagine Telepathy playing Raghuvaran. And look, I love that Dhanush, I do, but and I love him in this, and I'll get into my performance in a moment. But for me, these kind of movies, Telepathy's the master at these kind of movies. I think he'd have done a better job. But look, that's not me criticising Dhanush, because as I'm about to say, Standout performer for me in the movie, absolutely class. Most of
Fellow-
the work done in
fellow
the
February baby
death.
as well, John.
Sorry?
He's a fellow February baby as well.
Yeah, Stephen, that's why it works. When was he born? Exactly.
25th of February.
He's a Pisces though. He's Pisces and Aquarians in February, best month. I'm sorry. Sorry to everybody else in the other 11 months of the year. February's the best. It just creates the best people. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo in there, Stephen. We've got Kurt Cobain,
George Harrison.
There's loads of Elizabeth Olsen. But all the best people are born in February. February's the best. And Dhanush is in there. I knew there was a reason why I liked this guy. Joking aside, he's a class guy, man. Everything about him, his get up, his hair, just the physique. He whips the top off at the end. I'm like, this guy's shredded. I didn't expect it. I thought he was a little skinny guy. He's got a fucking six pack and he's got muscles ripped on. I'm like, this guy, is there anything this guy doesn't have? Can you leave something for us, Dhanush? You've got an amazing head of hair. You look good with glasses. You've got the sort of facial hair. You can sing, you can dance, you can act. No, he's class, man. Honestly, for me, it'd be hard to do, but from what I've seen so far, I'm going off on a slight tangent here. It's not really pertinent to Velaiilla Pattadhari. Velaiilla Pattadhari. If you were to ask me just now, Stephen, snap decision, who would I put my top 3 South Indian actors? From what I've seen, I'd go Talapathi, Dhanush and Vijay Sethupathi. No real order.
No, yeah.
Siri, I've not seen enough this year. Really liked him. Ranjanika, I've only seen 2 movies. For me, Dhanush is in the top 3. An incredible actor. But look, he wasn't the only performer for me. Saranya Pavanan, really good as Pavana.
Amazing.
The mother figure, I thought quite an important figure in this movie. Just the way she held the family together when it was nearly deconstructing in parts. Keeping the dad cool, keeping Raghuvaran on the street and whatever you call it, narrow. Is that what the saying is? I don't know. She's an important character and her loss was really important as well. But as you said, Ruth, earlier on, one door shuts, another door opens. And it was an important moment
like
for the character.
Catalyst. She's the catalyst that changes everything, you know. Yeah.
And I thought she'd done well, even in death. Incredible, strange to say, but it was a strangely good performance. Even when she was lying dead, I'm like, that's quite a good performance. And then Amara Paul, I spoke about her, but for me, you're going to have to say the name again, Ruth, because I've already forgot the pronunciation. Samudrakani. Samudrakani, I've not forgot it. I love this guy, man. I loved him in Veda Chennai. There's something about him. Yeah. It's the moustache, it's the get-up. He just looks like an authoritative figure. He looks like a guy that could have been a headmaster at school. He's class. There's something about him. Veda Chennai, I just loved him in Veda Chennai. I've seen him in something else as well, incidentally, because when I watched Veda Chennai, I'm like, I recognise that guy. So I really like him as an actor. And Vivek, hilarious. I didn't know the guy had passed away. That's a real shame. He had some really funny moments in this movie, mostly towards the tail end. So there's lots of good performances in there. But for me, Dhanush is the man. And this is the 5th movie I've seen this guy in now, and I've not once been disappointed with him. He's always the best performer. And he's in movies with Sumatra Khan and people like that, big personalities. And he always seems... What was the guy in Veda Chennai who was the main man, the sort of man of the people, in this little village out next to the sea? He passes away.
The amazing... The bit of trivia that you don't know is that Samudra Kani is actually also a director.
Yeah, is he?
Directs, he has directed a whole host of movies as well.
Yeah. Amir Sultan. That's the guy, by the way, I was thinking about. Huge personality in Veda Chennai.
Yeah.
Dhanush comes in and completely demolishes him. And that's not to say he was bad. It's just there's something about this guy. He's not the tallest. He's not the biggest in terms of presence, but he's got a presence on the screen. But look, man, speaking of screen, technical stuff, cinematography, man. I think it was Velraj. He wrote the movie, he directed the movie, he done the cinematography.
Because he's been, this was actually his first movie directing.
Was it?
Wow. He's only directed 2 movies, both of them, I think, if I'm not mistaken, so both of them is I think a Dhanush, both of them are Dhanush movies. This was the first one.
And he done Veda Chennai as well?
Veda Chennai,
Veda Chennai, he did the cinematography for the...
Cinematography,
Yeah, and he's
that was a great short movie as well.
For a lot of Dhanush's movies and all that before, and but whereas this movie was his first movie.
I tell you what, man, he's done some work because he's wrote the movie, he's directed the movie, and he shot the movie. And I tell you, there was some great short moments. You speak about the moment, Stephen. He's lying or he's sitting up in the sort of terrace on his own. Yep. To frame that way, where it's almost like there is another body next to him. His mother's sitting next to him in sort of spirit form, and she's speaking to him, and he's getting guidance.
Yeah.
Beautifully shot, beautifully framed, really captured the emotions of the Ragavan character. I loved the cinematography, and I enjoyed the writing. I thought I spoke it, but I didn't really speak about it. I thought it was well paced. It was 2 hours 10 minutes long. Flew by, man. Absolutely flew by. I watched an hour 40 straight. I had to take a break and watch the rest the last half hour the next day.
For being I think he got an Edison Award or something for being the best debut director. Yeah.
Amazing.
Listen, I tell you, I didn't know that it was his first directing gig, if you'd like. I didn't know he was involved in Vada Chennai as well, so that kind of that intrigues me. I thought it was very impressive for that to be his first movie he's directed. That was almost
he
like
was, I think, the cinematographer in Asuran as well, I think.
Asuran. I liked Asuran. Yeah. Who was it? Oh God, I always forget this guy's name. He passed away sadly earlier in the year. He was the sort of arse white character in Asuran. Nitish Veera.
Yeah, Nitish Veera.
Yeah. I thought he was brilliant in Asuran as well. I don't know why I spoke about that, but class guy. I want to see more of his movies. The score, Anirudh Ravichandran.
Yeah.
What can you say about this guy, man? He fucking annoys me every time. He annoys me in the best possible way. He's like 31. He's so talented, man. His body of work. This is 7 years ago. This movie.
Yep.
This guy would have been 24 when he scored this movie. It's a joke. He's so talented, man. He's a great composer. The music numbers were brilliant. The sort of score was great as well. He's a joke, man. What more can I say? In the best possible way. Don't take me out of context if people are watching.
I did tell you that Anirudh is Rajinikanth's nephew, his wife's nephew.
You never told me that, no, Ruth. Now it's all piecing together why he's so good.
Yeah.
He's got Ranjinikam's sort of
Dhanush is Rajinikanth's son-in-law.
Ranjinikam's son-in-law, there you go, he's married into Ranjinikanth is just the glue. He's like the mother figure in this movie in real life. He's the glue that ties them all together. He's a hero of Telepathy as well. He's the hero of that guy Kubaraj that did pizza and stuff like that and better. This guy ties them all together. He's a sort of immovable object that's been there for like 50, 60 years, just tying everything together. I love Ranjinikanth. I think he's brilliant. The 2 movies I've watched, his presence, there's just something about him, man. He's likeable. He's just a cool guy. He's a guy you'd respect if he was in real life, man. As opposed to a Steve Coogan, Alan Partridge, who you'd hate.
See that there's a lot of these actors. There are certain actors they like to work well with, or directors that they are more comfortable with, and they'll keep using them in the same.
You see that with Nolan. He uses Cillian Murphy. He'll use the likes of Tom Hardy and Leonardo DiCaprio. Go back to the same people. Also, you've got a Tarantino over here. He'll use Samuel Jackson. He'll go to the same people because he knows he can get a performance. You can trust him.
Like Dhanush movies, you can see Saranya Ponvanan. She acts as a mother in a few of his movies as well. So there's always that kind of recurrence of people who are acting in the same stuff. And so Dhanush loves working with. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dhanush might have been one of the first people to like kind of encourage, like give Anirudh a bit of a shot. In a big way to.
Well, it's paid off, I tell you. Because he's working with Telepathy now. He's done Master, he's doing Beast. That's everything, man. Every movie, second movie you look at, it's either. Is it I'm blanking on his name. Is it A.R. Rahman? The other one?
Yeah.
And then you've got Anirudh. He's sort of the heir apparent now. Just amazing composing, man. The use of the music. I've got notes on songs here I've not even touched upon. Notes and songs. But I can't do them now because we're beyond that. Stephen, technical stuff.
Technical stuff for me that's not been covered probably is the editing in this movie. You talked about the running time, John, and I know you had some issues with, obviously, tonally with the genres.
Yeah, as the dog came up. I think
that's a bit subjective, but I felt overall, I think the editing in this film was very slick.
Yeah.
Continuity was perfect. I don't think, for the fighting scenes especially, I thought the fighting scenes were handled very well in this film. The editing in this film, who's that?
The dog. I'm trying to bring a dog up.
Oh,
we need to give
Harry
credit
Potter?
to that dog.
Yeah,
love that dog.
John, that polo is wearing. I know you don't like the colours, but that polo is very, very smart.
Yeah, I probably had a polo like that back then.
The editing for me was slick. It was just so frenetic. I felt that's what kept it an enjoyable watch for me. And I said this to you on Tuesday, was it, John?
Yeah, you were way ahead of me. I watched it last night.
Wednesday show with you. I said you'll enjoy this. You got your days wrong.
I left it at 1:15 this morning to start watching this movie.
Yeah.
It's not that I get my days wrong. I like leaving things to the last minute.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing because it's fresh in your mind. I watched this on Tuesday, so you guys are keeping me right and reminding me of a lot of stuff. But yeah, the editing for me was sort of the standout. Stuff in the background.
Kumar did a good job.
You talk. I know I know we're beyond it now, but I think the songs in this were really well done.
They were.
I think they complemented the scenes before and after.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes they're just, you get the song and dance numbers that are just nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
This was actually well done, I felt.
No, yeah, this was very. I said something. The implementation of them so natural, organically weaves into the story. Never leaves the sort of setting. It's set within the world.
It's tonally correct as well, isn't it?
You watch a telepathy movie and the song and dance number, he'll become a midget or something. He'll shrunk down into a dwarf, and it's in like a big trees and stuff like that. It's like almost like what I picture. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, LSD, and a John Lennon LSD trip circa 1968. That's what it would have been like.
John, wait till we review Magical Mystery Tour. You'll be living that dream.
Oh yes, man, scooping the spaghetti onto the plate, a big fat woman's plate, trying to kill her. Final thoughts before we rate this movie. Shall I? I've had this up the whole fucking review. I've not had the graphic up. Jesus Christ, it's up now though.
Yeah.
Velaiilla Pattadhari. Try my best to pronounce this. Velaiilla Pattadhari. I can't say it, man. Ruth, help me out, please. Velaiilla Pattadhari.
Velaiilla Pattadhari.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. No chance.
That's how I do the presentation at the start, guys. So I only have to say it once.
I heard the song at the end. I'm like, there you go, that's how you say it. I heard it about 4 or 5 times. I'm like, nope, still don't know how to say that.
If it makes it easier, the movie is also known as VIP.
VIP, yeah.
And there's a sequel to this.
VIP. That was his group, wasn't it?
Jesus Christ, I tell you, I'm sorry for interrupting here, but they've changed the layout in OBS, and things that ain't highlighted in the scene are darkened, and I cannot see the fucking reins. I cannot see the reins. It's going to be a nightmare, man. I digress. Final thoughts. Shall I go first? Yeah. If you've not heard enough of my voice already, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a different kind of movie from Dhanush. I've seen this guy playing gangster, sort of Michael Corleone kind of figures, if you know your Godfather, and playing it very well. He's, for a smaller guy, he does pull off the sort of hard man. I think that's not to say you can't be a hard man when you're small. Look at Bruce Lee. Very hard, very small, and he looks like Bruce Lee. But it was nice to see him doing something different, playing this sort of different character, disenfranchised character, and the way they explored themes of societal wills. It's one of my favourite things from Indian cinema. I've got my sort of pick out things I like from different cinemas in the world. The French are all fancy pantsy, you know what I mean? They like to be better than everybody else. Oh, French, Korean. Going after the French tonight. Don't know why.
Lady boys.
Oh. And then in Korea, they're clinical. Masters of satire. In India, it's the way they shine a light on societal wills and do it really well. The way they can explore multiple genres in the one movie. It's a standout. And they do that in here. And I have got issues with maybe some of the genres blending together. Well, but that's me, clearly. Because you just don't have any issues with it. And the way they explore the societal wills, the casteism, the shadism, the issue of very well-educated people not getting jobs. I thought it was done very well. It was done as a focal point through this Dhanush character, Raghuvaran. I really enjoyed it. Well performed. The death of the mother was a really powerful moment in the movie for me.
Sucked the air out the room for me.
Yeah, it's something I wasn't expecting in this kind of movie. As you say, Steve, in the first half it was light and airy, it was comedic. And then to have that moment, it's like, Jesus Christ, because I knew something was going on. She was calling, I thought she was maybe someone was robbing the house or something. But when he went back, I'm like, too many people in that house, I think she's dead. And it did happen, and it was sad, it was powerful. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It was very well edited, technically very impressive. You expect that with Anirudh in there, and a guy that's directing, writing the movie and doing cinematography, Velraj. If he's doing that and he's comfortable doing it, this guy knows what he's doing. And I presume he's maybe came from an editing sort of technical background. He's been into direct this movie for the first time. That's impressive. I'm not going to give my grading just now. I enjoyed the movie. Stephen, thoughts on the movie?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a different sort of genre. We were dealing with genres within genres as well. We did the Telepathy movie last week. The week before that, 24, which was sci-fi. This is the first time I've really sat down and enjoyed in terms of its tone and its sort of first half of the movie was very carefree and just enjoying it for what it was and not taking it too serious, just enjoying the main character's development and see where it was going to take him. And as Ruth said earlier, it took that moment of tragedy really to get his life into some sort of order. And I thought they handled all these elements, the sort of society side of things, the class side of things, the caste side of things. And within a 2-hour movie, that's a very hard thing to accomplish, I feel, and get it right. And I thought the writing in this film is fantastic, the editing in this film is fantastic, and more importantly, the acting in this film was fantastic. I thought it was a very strong cast. Dhanush was the standout performer for me, but what a supporting cast, very strong and very reliable as well.
You better be giving it a fantastic rating then, Stephen.
Oh, I'm
going to Ruth.
But my fantastic ratings are different to yours.
Yes. Yeah. I've got an idea of what I'm giving this movie now. Ruth, what was your final thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good watch. I think it really depicted the angst that unemployed people go through, in life, having to go through all the negative comments that unemployed people go through in life. And I think it really depicted the angst that you feel as an unemployed person, having to go through all the comments that people randomly will just be making, about your status, not knowing how much it hurts you. We always usually people who are unemployed, I think they will flippantly, it will seem as if they are not doing something about their life and all that, but it's the kind of that moment when you have all this talent within you, but you can't exhibit it in any way because nobody's giving you an opportunity. How you would actually you keep it all in, but then you have this kind of facade that like nothing is bothering you and you can't be bothered by what people think and all that, but actually you are affected by every little comment that people make, and that kind of cripples you in a way, which is partially I think the reason why he has this kind of non-blasé kind of attitude, like I can't be bothered to go and do anything, and it seems like he's just sitting on his keister. But just imagine the situation he's going, he's the things that he's going through, that kind of thing. So I think Dhanush really depicted that really well. I think that part of the story was very well told. And like you guys said, I like the disparity between the classes that's actually shown in this, in the sense that is the reality of life. A lot of people can achieve success and be impressive if they're just given an opportunity. And there are many people out there that have loads of talent but have not been lucky enough to be given that opportunity. So it's a real blessing when people do have the opportunity, and like the antagonist, you see he squanders it. He has all this opportunity and wealth and everything, but he doesn't want to be a talented, he doesn't put all that effort into becoming a good engineer. What he does is that he wants to cut corners, he wants to take shortcuts. So I think that was really well depicted in the movie. I thought it was a good watch. The ensemble cast, they fit into the movie really well. They all did a really good, of course, stand-up performance is Dhanush, but I think they all really propped in. It wasn't one of those movies where the main actor is actually carrying everybody else, but this was a very good cohesive bond between all of them, making the movie what it is.
Yeah.
And I like the tonal, the whole idea of the mother sentiment that's woven into the entire story, and how important it is in a person's life to have that kind of support system, and how that makes a lot of difference. So I've really enjoyed the movie a lot. I love the comedy elements as well. Yeah.
Stephen, what are you going to rate this movie? I'll let you go first.
I'm going to rate this C+.
Boom.
And the reason for that is, as much as I did enjoy it, I will not go back to it. Not because I don't want to go back to it. It fulfilled me enough to see it once, and
it's the best kind of movie.
I don't think it will. Anyone that says, "But you loved this movie," a movie's got to stay with me. You know what I'm talking about, John. I will talk about and think about a movie weeks after I've watched a film. Those ones are like.
Bet you wish you did that way after The Last Jedi, Stephen.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't do reviews now after films. Can you imagine if we did it right after Telepathy last week?
Oh yeah. Stephen
I'd have been hung on
different
quarter by
thought on
our
it. Yeah, he let it marinate for a day.
Yeah, I
It's a
had to.
different story. 2 days.
Yeah, I have to.
Ruth, what are you giving it? I'll go last. Because I'm treated.
Yeah, definitely a C plus as well.
Oh.
Because I think it was a really good
I'm gonna
watch.
shake this room up.
And so I really enjoyed. I mean, of course, it's not like I wouldn't put in, like, in order for it to be in a B and an A range, it needs to move me like that much more. Like he says, I need to be. It needs to be one of those movies that's consciously in my thoughts.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. So, but as movies go, I think it was a really, really good movie. So yeah, definitely a C plus.
I am going to go.
Here is on.
I'm trying to make my mind up. I'm going to go
Here
here.
is on.
I'm waiting the ratings. What am I going to give it? See, boys, with you, I'm what's that, Steve?
The heat is.
Screw it, I'll give it a C plus as well. I was going to give it a C. Because the genres didn't last very long here, did it? That rating came up there.
Yeah.
I was going to give it a C. I just wanted it to be different and give it something different. I wasn't going to give it a B because what you said, Ruth, and we discussed this before we come on as well, Stephen. For me, it didn't quite do enough to get into the excellent range. It wasn't an excellent movie. For me, it was a good movie, and that's absolutely fine. You need good movies. Excellent movies for me are like, I told you, my all-time favourite movies in that range. It's just not perfect. I'm clinical with the way that I critique movies. I enjoyed it. I thought it was at the high range of good, and there's a lot of good movies in there. For me, it didn't do enough to be excellent. I had gripes with it, the genres, the sort of blending of the genres. But that's me. I'm a gimp. At times I do have issues with things. So for me, I was going to say a word earlier on. Stephen asked me to use this word earlier on to speak about the dad.
What was that again?
I was going to say, I've started using this word and I have to cut it out. I was going to say that the dad figure played by I've not even got the listing up now. Seth Roman. What's his name, Ruth? I've not even got the listing up. Samundrakani. I was going to say that he had a bit of a hard-on for the Dhanush character, Raghavan, because he was getting after him constantly. I'm like, just leave the guy alone, man. He's a principled man. He's trying to get a job. He's qualified. He wants a job in construction. He doesn't want to work in a call centre. And when he went to that call centre, I could really relate to that. Because when you do a job you don't want to do, it's painful. So yeah, I was got that off my system. Nearly stuttering Stanley there at the end of the show. It's not good.
Comments as well, man.
What's that, Stephen?
The comments.
Comments. I've not been.
Yep.
I've not been reading the comments.
I've been replying to them.
They're behind the OBS, sadly. Well, thank you very much for all those comments. We do appreciate all of them coming in.
Brilliant. What a community.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comments, isn't there? What? I'm not seeing all of them.
You notice when my head goes down, I'm not listening to you guys. I'm talking to the community. Yeah,
thank you very much for all those comments. I do apologise, I've not been keeping track of them. I've just been listening to the sound of my own voice, which is when I'm at my happiest, when I'm speaking. And I'm speaking a lot. Stephen's looking at the beer. Your beer's much stronger than mine, Stephen. Don't worry about it. Mine's is only 5.
Yeah.
Piss water, as we like to say here. But check piss water. But let I digress. That's going to round up our review of Velaiilla Pattadhari. Velaiilla Pattadhari. Ruth, just do it, man. That's going to round up our review of
Velaiilla Pattadhari.
Velaiilla Pattadhari. There you go. Velaiilla Pattadhari. I need to learn Tamil. I have to do it. My ancestors are from there. I have to do it. Velaiilla Pattadhari. What's your thoughts on the movie? What's your thoughts on Dhanush? What's your thoughts on the rest of the cast? On the story? On our review? If you've got anything to say at all and you haven't actually put your thoughts down below in the comment section, because there is a lot there. Comment section is the place to put them if you feel compelled to share it. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. Dislike it if you've hated it. I hope you don't dislike it though, because I hope you've not hated it. And you can subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the little bell icon to get the notification straight to your eyeball, and hit the follow button over on Twitch as well, the Forgotten Child over there, if you want to see more content over there as well. We did get a follower yesterday. If the person's came back into the chat today, I do apologise for not thanking you for following. We have getting no alerts set up at all for Twitch. I'm going to get that sorted over the weekend, because if we're getting raids and follows and stuff like that, I need to know about it so I can give the people their due. Thank you for following. Until then though, I'm done. Stephen's done. We're all done. Ruth's done. Catch you after. Bye bye guys. Bye. It worked. Whoa.